Welcome back to the show. This is your host, David Yanez, and I have another great guest, another great Whitaker author. I'm enjoying these Whitaker interviews. She just lit up the stat engine there with people viewing and people listening to the last show on radio. And Miss Sharlene MacLaren, how are you doing, Sharlene?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing good. Am I saying your name right, MacLaren?
Yes, you are.
Okay, because
Good job.
I almost want to throw it an Irish accent to MacLaren. It looks like that kind of name. But anyway, we had her on the show earlier, and like I said, everybody was touched. And what touched me a lot was how she became an author. It wasn't that someone said go do it. It's just something she felt, and then it was also confirmed in a dream. Can you share about that real
Yes.
quick?
Well, as I was telling you earlier on the radio interview, I did go through a year of depression, and God just really worked in my heart and in my life during that time. And I was nearing my retirement from teaching elementary school, and I knew that I needed to have a purpose for my life, and I needed to find something that would be worthwhile, that God could use me in. And so I just asked him and I just pled with him, God, show me what you want for me. What are my next steps? What do you have for me to do that can be something fulfilling and will touch hearts and even maybe heal lives? And so, what happened was really kind of strange, but I did have a dream that I had written a book. And I thought, well, that was a very strange dream. That was odd. But and I didn't even think of it at all as an answer to my prayer. I didn't connect the two at all. And then I had the dream again, and then I had it again. It recurred 3 or 4 times before it sort of started to settle in that maybe God was answering my prayer. And so I had a story in mind, and I began to write. And as I began to write, that is when the gift of writing just literally fell into my lap, and a passion was born for writing fiction. And that was in the summer of 2000, by the way.
And she wrote 2 manuals that summer, two books, right?
Actually, I just wrote so much that I just had this passion flowing through my veins, and I wrote one manuscript after another. And again, I was not thinking about this so much being an answer to my prayer as God has given me this wonderful hobby, and now I know what I will do after I retire. And I feel like I have some purpose now. But I wasn't thinking in terms of this is what God's going to have for me to do to reach out and touch lives. I was thinking more in terms of this is what he's giving me to do with my time to heal my heart and my spirit. And but publishing was in my future, and I didn't know it. But it took 6 years from that onset, from that beginning of writing, until I actually signed a contract with Whitaker House.
And now
So it's not something that happens overnight. That's for
and you know
sure.
what? That's what it is. How long does it take to make an overnight success? A lifetime.
Right.
Because you want to have longevity. And I tell you, this beautiful woman has longevity. She's written so many bestsellers. She's actually one of the best, Whitaker's #1 fiction writer and #1
Well,
bestseller.
thank you.
And that's
Thank you
some
so
stats I
much.
pulled from our publicist. And I tell you what, she's the real deal. She writes real things, real heart things. That's what, if you look at it, people that get novels, people that read these novels, they get a lot of heart out of it. They get a lot of story out of it. And one thing I didn't get to ask you on the radio show was how much of those many years of teaching kids give you the ability to recognize characters? Because a lot of authors are good, but when it comes to character development, they kind of miss it. And you seem to have a knack.
Well, thank you. I do so love to dig in deep into a character's life, and I like to reveal that to my readers. And I do think that my years of teaching school really helped me to understand kind of the human spirit. And because of the different life experiences that I've had too along the way, I don't believe that I would be the writer that I am today had I not gone through the many life experiences that I've had. I mean, I have experienced things such as clinical depression, and I have gone through grief, and I have experienced death in my family. And so I have experienced just a whole different spectrum of life experiences, and all of those things play into being a writer, and touching hearts, and letting people see that you are real and that you do understand a lot of the things that they suffer and that they go through.
That's amazing. Tell us about your new book, Heart of Mercy.
Well, Heart of Mercy is right here, and it is book one in a series. Tennessee Dreams is the name of my series, and it is set in Paris, Tennessee, in 1890. And all of my books, I love to write historical series, but all of my series are standalone books. They don't depend upon each other in order to, complete a plot. Each plot is an individual plot. So that's the way I like to write series, so that people can kind of pick up any one of my books and begin to read. And some of the characters may repeat themselves in other books, but it doesn't actually ruin the storyline, if you know what I mean.
Now, tell us about Paris, Tennessee. I mean, you have a special tie to this place. Tell us.
Well, yes, Paris, Tennessee is a wonderful little town on the east side. On the west side of Tennessee. And it is, they have this wonderful little bookstore called Promised Land Bookstore. And they have sold over 1,000 copies of my books. And so, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I have become a popular author, especially in that little town. And I did a book signing there one year, about 3 or 4 years ago, and while I was there, I just had this strong impression that I would love to write a series set in Paris, Tennessee. And so I began to do some research online and contact different people from Paris, Tennessee, and we just kind of set up a book series, and Whitaker House was fully on board, and it's just kind of gone from there. It's just been a wonderful journey.
And they sell 1,000 or so of your books, each one of them, correct?
Well, I don't know, not each one of them. I think total.
Okay.
And I have 13 books out right now. My 14th will be coming out this summer. And then my 15th will be coming out this Christmas. I'm doing a Christmas novella. That's going to be the 4th book in another series that was set in Kentucky. So, yeah, I'm just missing this.
Amen. Well, tell everybody where they can get your books.
My books are available, excuse me, through most any bookstore. And books actually are placed kind of randomly across the country, and many authors will attest to this, that you just don't know for sure exactly what bookstores they're going to be in, but they're across the country in various bookstores, and Barnes & Noble carries my books, as well as Christian bookstores. And then, of course, you can buy them online, Amazon.com, Christianbook.com, and also you can order them through a clerk. If you go into a bookstore and they don't carry my book or a specific book that you're looking for, you can always order it through a clerk.
Amen.
So,
amen. Give us your website, Starling.
My website is www.SharleneMacLaren.com.
SharleneMacLaren.com.
Sharlene is SHARLENE, and MacLaren is MacLaren. So neither one of my names is, most people want to spell MacLaren MC and Sharlene with the C, but it's SH, so.
Amen. Well, I'm excited to see how God uses you, even when you finished teaching for so many years, and then we're at a time when people are saying, well, I'm looking at this to go and do that and have some vacations, which is fine. You're like looking for the next step to keep yourself busy and be used by God, and God honored that. And when He honored it and He brought it to you, and I know what you mean when you say you just wrote those books, that summer. When I do my sermons, I write them out. It pours down. It just
Yeah, it
comes.
does.
It comes from God, and you're just writing and writing until you get. For me,
Hmm.
it's 5 straight handwritten pages, and there's my
Sure.
sermon. I go out and preach, and
Yes.
I'm sure the same thing happens when you're typing or however you write the book. It
Hmm.
just comes in when you get in
It's
gear.
passion.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's
Mm,
passion.
amen. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Well, thank you so much for having me, David. It's just really been a joy.
Amen. Well, we'll be back with another great message in just a minute.